The Heart of Listening, on behalf of our collective, is a program and mentorship with me that began maybe 12 years ago when I led a retreat in person at the Ojai Foundation, focused on the intersection, the weave between some core essential teachings from Zen Buddhism and the relational field of both everyday life, how we relate with ourself, with one another, with the earth, with the invisible, and relational leadership, recognizing the need in today's day and age as we navigate the polycrisis of our time for the leadership of receptivity, the leadership that allows the full spectrum of yin and yang, that dislodges us from the old paradigm of power over and leader as someone who has already arrived, leads from force, charisma, assertion, to a leading with a dropping into relational presence, which is a phrase used by Eihei Dogen, 12th century founder of Soto Zen, for the quality of shared presence that we drop into in every moment of wakefulness, which allows us to know ourselves and the world beyond concept and idea to direct transmission and the experience of ourselves as part of the concert, the orchestra, the interplay of interdependence. The way I like to talk about shared power, so moving from power over to power with, or shared power, authentic power is another phrase we could use, has to do with one's ability, one's willingness to give and receive love in every moment. Not love in the limited definition, like a box of heart-shaped chocolates, soft, pink, something always warm and fuzzy. Far beyond that, to the expression of who we really are, of essence, which can use its voice in a million ways. What is skillful response, moment by moment, is responding from love, from our sense of in this together. Shared power also translates to the understanding of what it means to be awake to reciprocity as a way of being, as a way of life, like community as a verb, living in community moment by moment. Again, from the micro, our subtle relationship with self, to the macro, how we engage with what's happening in our world, with collective trauma, as well as personal wounding and trauma. Reciprocity is woken up through our capacity for deep listening, to learn to live more and more, not in shallow listening, as in listening to the repetitive, redundant narrative and story of the conceptual mind, what I call the mind of separation, because it tries to affirm sense of separate self, the part of our being that is standing outside of life, looking in, assessing, judging, measuring, comparing, distancing from intimacy with life, to deep listening, dropping into the ground of our being and remembering. This is a remembering, not even a cultivation, remembering our natural capacity as part of the living intelligence of life on earth, to listen, to attune, to be receptive to one another, to life, to the deeper parts of ourselves, to sense into the inner compass that helps to support us in navigating life skillfully, moment by moment, rather than the popular messages or stories from surface mind. So often misguided, holding delusion, feeding confusion. The heart of listening is a unique container because we form a community for a period of 6 months with multiple levels of support and permission for learning, each at our own pace, our natural pace. That support system includes personal mentor sessions with me. It includes twice a month gathering in conscious community on Zoom for interactive, deeply enjoyable community learning. One of the best compliments I continually receive is that the space I create on Zoom doesn't feel like we're on Zoom, that it really feels embodied, that we're here together in circle. We can show up as we are. It's enjoyable, it's restorative. Learning and awakening have to be held in containers that are nourishing and nurturing. The support system also includes your own practice using everyday life as a laboratory for the teachings, the invitations that are offered. And it also includes peer support, having a practice partner for that 6 months to meet with at least once a month and to come together with invitations, prompts for embodied inquiry that I offer. The support system also includes resources, teaching video each month. The way I like to design this program is not that it's top down, feeling heavy, feeling like I can barely keep up with the curriculum, feeling like I have so much going on in my life. Can I do this too? So not that it's pressureful, but regenerative. I've taken a stand for regenerative leadership in my life and relational fields of awakening. And so there are things offered each month that are asked of you to watch this video, to maybe read a couple of insightful teachings, and also things offered that are just for those of you who have extra time, for those of you for whom this topic or this topic is particularly compelling. So it's spacious, it's fluid, and another way it's really unique as a program is that while many people who participate in Heart of Listening are already in positions of leadership or facilitation in some form in their life, we also equally welcome the acknowledgement that we're all called to be leaders in this day and age, leaders of consciousness at a time of rapid, accelerated change in our world, so that even if you don't see yourself in a professional role or something of leadership, maybe how you approach your creative, artistic life or parenting, or to be honest, folks, just having a practice calls upon a quality of leadership. So let's unpack that really briefly. One of the precepts that I first took as a Zen Buddhist was not to tell lies nor practice believing the fantasies of authority, not just pointing to external authority, the authority of the conditioned mind, like giving that our authority, and instead reclaiming the agency, the authority of the heart, the shared heart. When we become much more discerning about shallow listening and the stories that tend to compel us and out of familiarity and safety, grab our attention and limit our sense of self and who we are, and drop into deeper listening, where we have access to the wisdom of the whole cosmos, the wisdom through this moment to the three times, past, present, future, a wisdom that is far more encompassing, spacious, emergent, we reclaim the authority of the shared heart, okay? Still small voice within is one way we sometimes access this. So this is a really beautiful field. The Heart of Listening on behalf of our collective is one of the loves of my life. And I think one of the things that's guided me through practice ever since I was a teenager is the recognition of knowing that we will be witnessing and going through so much accelerated change with the poly crisis that I inherited as a young person, or through our uh, global field. And that I had a prayer early on that more rather than less humans could receive the gifts, the teachings for showing up with the skillful means, the conscious response rather than the reactivity, violence uh, that comes through knowing the gift and radical responsibility of interbeing. Interbeing being a core Buddhist teaching, the term coined by Thich Nhat Hanh about our innate interdependence. And so the gift, the joy of that, which we access more and more through listening, because listening places us ever more fully in our earth body. It awakens the instrument, which is a profound, immeasurably wise, attuned, joyful instrument for connectivity. And also acknowledging the sobriety of our responsibility through interbeing. So, if any of the language I'm using is new for you or different for you, know that we unpack language a lot more through this program. We work with the 9 principles of relational mindfulness from my second book, In the Heart of Listening, and really, quite honestly, it's an invitation to become a lot more free and badass in the relational field, because the field of human relationship can be such a place of landmines, of triggers, of discomfort, as well as beauty, inspiration, intimacy. But we become much more skillful in how we show up to that, both through listening, our receptivity, and through how we use our voice, trust in our capacity to speak and engage from the heart more fully. I'll share a few more details about this program, and there are so many themes that we explore already posted on the website. But every year, this program is different, because in addition to the essential teachings I bring to it, it's also an emergent field that's co-created by who is part of each cohort, by the needs of each individual, and my willingness as a teacher to respond to what is arising. What are the specific ways you are needing, calling for, longing for growth? Growth in your embodiment, deepening in your practice, expansion in your trust in yourself as a leader. And again, not letting that word carry too much weight, like a leader in how you show up to honor what is true for you in the short time you are here. Okay. I'll also invite us just to pause for a moment to notice what's moving through, what's here, as I share some of the architecture of this program. I keep this program to an intimate group, and I do so intentionally. Hopefully, I'm able to keep it to 24 or under, because something magical happens in a more intimate field. I also teach fields of over 100 people, and that's beautiful too. But for this 6-month journey, there's really something about the beauty of forming uh, connectivity, friendship, a space where we have room for all of our voices and needs. My job as a teacher is very often seeing and perceiving the tree and the forest at the same time, simultaneously working with the needs of each individual and the gifts of each of you who participate, and the whole field and the alchemy, the magic that happens between those things. So I want to emphasize that even if you don't consider yourself, maybe you haven't been meditating for years and that's still new for you, or maybe you're not in a particular role of someone else teaches Dharma and mindfulness who's participating, to not let that intimidate you. There's something about learning through and with each other's presence from different walks of life and different life experiences that feeds the richness in this program, okay? Many of us are holding really tender questions about the unknown we're facing as a species and about how to respond consciously to these times. So we weave the inner and outer work. We explore the personal, interpersonal, transpersonal, ecological, societal, mystical, global ripple effect, impact of the way of listening. We work with our connectivity to the earth as really our essential, our deepest connection with source, and extend into so many interesting topics in being alive in this moment in time and being of service from that place. And we work a lot with just how to gain more trust in ourselves as contributions to the field, um, rather than having to fall into maybe longstanding habit patterns of how we relate. Okay, so I'm going to pause and just ask you to keep listening as I speak to a few questions people have asked about the program. And one question that's come in is, this program sounds really deeply inspiring to me. I've been aware of it for some years and wondered, is this the year for me to participate? But there's also an awareness that it takes some courage to step into new community. Um, and what I would offer around that is, one, you might want to check out sometime on a Tuesday on Zoom, the Fierce Compassion Sangha, if you haven't practiced with me in person or in another form, to get a sense of how we engage in our community and to get a sense of the energetic field, if that would support you. You can also just attend anything in person with me to have more direct experience. And I really want to emphasize that through one-on-one sessions, in addition to the group work, there's a very intricate container created, knowing that each and every one of us carries our own wounds, our own ancestral trauma. It's my job and passion and love as a teacher to create fields of healing for this, okay? Also, someone asked about comparing mind, and I want to just emphasize again and again that you can go at your own pace. You'll have the resources from this program. There's a web page that contains a plethora of resources that we use and all the recordings, and you have access to that for 6 months after the training. So there's no hurry to digest or gain full insight into something, or no need to come into this wanting to attain anything. It's really, I like to think of meditation practice in general as more of a letting go. That's what it is. It's more about what we let go than what we attain. And of course, attaining mind as only getting in our way of recognizing, of remembering the multidimensional wisdom, the wholeness that's already here. Listening is fun. Like, think of how it feels to listen to a compelling piece of music. And we're learning to listen in an embodied, non-extractive, with our whole body, mind way. So it's not the effortful or sort of active listening that you think of that's very popular in certain trainings today. If some of you who are therapists or tired at the end of the day of how much you've listened, this actually teaches us a much more regenerative way of listening. Again, the reciprocity of giving and receiving, of listening and being listened to, of dropping into, softening into the awareness that is already awake, attuned, deeply listening. And if there are other questions that arise for you, you are more than welcome to reach out. I'm also happy to make myself available for a conversation for any of you who are on the fence but are curious about specifics, okay? As I bring this to a close, I'll share that we have in the past had a robust scholarship fund. And because of the intense life journey I've been on and my organization has been on since Hurricane Helene hit and washed away our everything at the end of the fall of 2024, we have not yet recovered. We have not yet recovered financially. We have not yet recovered our scholarship fund. We have applied for a couple of grants to help support this motion. But what I'd say is, if you are someone who's financially challenged and you would require at least a partial scholarship, to not assume limitation, to be open to possibility. There might be someone in your life who's willing to sponsor you for this, like when I was young and gave years of my life to practice, which meant stepping outside of capitalism, not making anything for years. There were some extraordinary beings who came forward to sponsor my training, and also to go ahead and apply and ask, because we are always inquiring into how we might support those in most need. Okay, so it is my deep hope that our scholarship fund will be replenished. And meanwhile, we offer this program for a 3-tier payment. There's a suggested payment, and then there's a lower fee for those who are struggling, and a higher fee for those who can afford the generosity of supporting others because you're well resourced that way. This model has again and again really worked in my offerings in our community. So I would ask you to take some time to sit with this. My book's Relational Mindfulness, a handbook for deepening our connection with ourself, each other, our planet, as well as luminous darkness, an engaged Buddhist approach to embracing the unknown, are both woven in to the heart of listening. And you can check out those books if you have not. We have testimonials from people from so many different walks of life whose lives have been transformed, both personally and also professionally, through this program. Leaders ranging from mindfulness, meditation, and Buddhist teachers, indigenous leaders, people engaged in extraordinary social justice work, environmental justice work, people for whom this program has opened up their capacity as artists, as people offering their expression of service, of activism through creativity, because maybe another word for creativity in my book is receptivity. Creativity is about the more we rest in the reciprocal field and let ourselves be open vessels for life to come through us and illuminate. That's creativity. It's not something we generate through doing, but through listening. Anyway, I could go on and on. Extraordinary people have done this program. We have so much fun. Lasting friendships get created, and I want to maybe end by just touching some of the tenderness that we all feel for what's happening in our world right now, for the uh, level of suffering and conditioning that we have inherited, and to remember ourselves as future ancestors, as a restorer species, as already whole. We remember this through listening. How we listen is how we perceive. Originally, this program was going to start in February 2026, and because of the wild life transition I'm still on and the change of time zones to where we are moving in January, I've decided to not begin until June. So I encourage you to apply now. We have limited spaces, and some of those spots are already taken. If you're feeling the call in your heart, I would love to support the next step of your journey of transformation and our shared journey of collective healing. Please reach out if there are questions. Thank you.